The modern-day Olympic Games, or simply the Olympics, is the most recognizable sporting event in the world, with both summer and winter sports competition drawing thousands of athletes from more than 200 nations around the world in high-action competition. There's no grander venue to celebrate humanity's greatest physical achievement. Inspired by ancient Olympic Games held in Olympia, Greece, from the 8th century BC to the 4th century AD, participating athletes would hold a strip of customary wild boar meat and swear an oath in front of the Greek god Zeus, the Oath Giver, vowing that they would follow the regulations of the Olympics and to simply play fair. However, the human desire to deceive in order to advance would remain to be a bane of humanity. Before we get into the video, you know the routine. Thumbs up, share, subscribe, and notification bell for future videos. This is Sports Surge. Here are 8 of the most horrible Olympic cheaters. Number 8. Dora Ratchen, Berlin, 1936. Dora Ratchen was a German athlete who competed in the women's high jump competition in the 1936 Summer Olympics in Berlin. Ratchen would finish 4th overall during the Olympics and would win the gold medal at the European Athletics Championship in 1938, even breaking the world record for the high jump in 1939. However, fellow competitor and former record holder, British athlete Dorothy Taylor Odom raised suspicions of Ratchen, saying that, quote, "she's not a woman, she's a man," end quote, after a controversy involving Ratchen's apparent cross-dressing while riding a train from Vienna to Cologne. Ratchen was arrested and tests had been conducted proving that Ratchen was indeed a man. This stripped Ratchen of his medals, his world record, and the expunging of his name from the records. He would later rename himself as Henrich and would confess in a 1966 Time magazine article that he had been forced by the Nazi regime to pose as a woman for the sake of honor and glory of Germany. Number 7. Fred Lors, St. Louis, 1904. In a beguiled manner of fate, more so than direct cheating, this early example shows the absence of strict monitoring and regulation than we see in today's Olympics. Fred Lors was an American long-distance runner who competed in the 1904 Olympic Games. After running 9 miles, he stopped running, claiming exhaustion. He would then be given a lift by his coach in a car for the next 11 miles. By some coincidence, his coach's car broke down, and so Fred continued on foot back to the Olympic Stadium, where he would break the finish line 15 minutes ahead of his nearest rival, to be greeted as the winner of the race. Despite having had his photo taken with President Roosevelt's daughter, Alice, and preparing for the medal ceremony as the winner, Fred Lors would jokingly admit to spectators, claiming that he had not run through the whole race. Lors would be banned for life by the Amateur Athletic Union, but would be reinstated after apologizing for the stunt. A year later, Fred Lors would seemingly redeem his name through his speed, winning the Boston Marathon in 1905. Number 6. Hans-Gunnar Ligenwald, Mexico City, 1968. Certainly, a foreshadowing of some sort, this entry shows the first time an Olympian failed a drug test. Hans-Gunnar Ligenwald is a Swedish modern pentathlete. Modern pentathlon is an Olympic sport that comprises 5 different events: fencing, freestyle, swimming, equestrian show jumping, and a final combined event of pistol shooting and cross-country running. Having once been a fixture on the international sporting scene, Ligenwald had competed in 3 Olympics, in 1964, 1968, and 1972, and was a solid contributor to the Swedish team effort. In 1968, the Swedish team took the bronze medal for the event, but would later have to surrender this win because of Ligenwald. What did he do? Hans-Gunnar Ligenwald is the first Olympian to have his results disqualified from the Olympics because of failing a drug test. Number 5. Ben Johnson, Seoul, 1988. Many issues surrounded the 100-meter event at the 1988 Seoul Games, which many consider to be the dirtiest race in Olympic history. Canadian sprinter Ben Johnson, who won 2 bronze medals in the prior 1984 Summer Olympics, was thought to have won with 9.79 seconds, but would be disqualified after the Olympic Doping Control Center found that Johnson's urine sample contained the anabolic steroid stanozol. His record and medal would be rescinded by the committee. Later, 6 of the 8 finalists of the same 100-meter race would be tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs and were implicated in a drug scandal. Johnson would admit that he used steroids in order to remain on equal footing with the other top athletes. Number 4. Boris Onaschenko, 1976, Montreal. Boris Onaschenko is a former Soviet modern pentathlete who competed in 1968, 1972, and 1976 Summer Olympics. Entering the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal, he was already a 3-time world champion, highly favored to win his matches because of his reputation. He came into the fencing event with confidence. During his fencing bout, the British team he was matched against witnessed that Boris's weapon had signaled a point without actually hitting anything. It was found that Onaschenko's dueling sword, known as the EPEE, had been illegally modified that included a switch allowing him to register a touch even without making any contact on his opponent. He would be ejected from the competition, forcing the Soviet Union team to scratching their campaign. Boris would later be known as Boris the Cheat and earn a personal reprimand from Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev himself. Number 3. Park Si-hun, Seoul, 1988. Our next Olympic case revolves on the adjudicators more so than the actual athlete. At the 1988 Summer Olympics in Seoul, South Korean light middleweight contender Park Si-hun was a sure favorite for the home crowd. After a controversial path to the title, Park found himself against USA's star boxer Roy Jones Jr. During the fight, Park found himself in trouble getting nearly knocked out twice and was given notice by the referee for not defending himself properly. Despite the clear inferior performance, Park would win with a 3-2 decision by the judges in his favor. This sparked outrage, as it was later revealed that 3 of the 5 judges who had scored in Park's favor had been catered to and spoiled by Korean officials prior to the event. Although Park had no cause for suspicion himself and eventually kept the gold medal, 2 of the 3 judges who voted for him were banned from the sport of boxing for life. Number 2. East Germany, Montreal, 1976. In 1976, at the Montreal Summer Olympics, the world took notice as East Germany had triumphed with an impressive 40 gold medals. The women's team alone won 11 of 13 swim events and had been described as machines on the water, with their dominating performance. They would even become the public face of the German Democratic Republic, who was in need of the international clamor. This streak of strength would remain so throughout the 70s and 80s. However, despite denying for many years that they had used performance-enhancing drugs to improve their standings, in 1991, members of the East German swimming team would admit to a state-sponsored doping system, claiming that success in the sport would equate to the state's success, using sports as a tool to gain legitimacy for East Germany. Despite this admission, East German teams still retained their past Olympic victories. Number 1. Russian team, 2018. The Olympic has been mired with doping issues since the start of its history. The utilization of improving training regimens and results by athletic performance-enhancing substances as a way to advance results and gain a better medal count finish has been an issue, especially in the modern Olympic times. In response to this, the International Olympic Committee took the initiative in the 90s to create the World Anti-Doping Agency. The same agency, in fact, who placed the controversial 4-year ban on Russian athletes from participating in all major sporting events in 2019. Systematic doping in Russian sports has resulted in 47 Olympic and tens of world champion medals from being stripped from Russian athletes. Russia has also the most athletes that have been caught doping at the Olympic Games, with more than 200 individual cases. The modern Olympics is considered as one of the major highlights to our modern civilization. This display of athletic prowess that we celebrate must remain in our highest regard. By placing the dignity of the Games at the forefront, we could choose to thwart the desire to deceive, not only during the Olympics, but as a reflection in our daily actions as individuals and nations. So what did you think about these instances at the Olympics? We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below. And as always, thumbs up, share, subscribe, and slam that notification bell for future videos. Until next time.